Hey, what up guys? Brent the Broker here, and today we're going to be discussing, do I buy a fixer-upper or something that's turnkey ready? Before we get into today's video, guys, consider subscribing to the channel, turn bells on for notifications, and if we're adding any value to your life, drop the video a like. We'd appreciate your support. And stick around to the end of the video for our buyer and seller pro tip of the day. Now, the age-old question, do I buy a fixer-upper or do I buy something that's turnkey ready? So there's pros and cons of each route. So we're going to discuss the pros and cons of buying a fixer-upper, the pros and cons of buying something that's turnkey ready, and then give you a tip that might help you, decide which route to go. Pros and cons of buying something that's a fixer-upper. So the pros are a fixer-upper property is generally cheaper than something that's already ready to go. Something that's turnkey, fully remodeled, ready to go tends to command a premium on the marketplace. So you get a lower price point. Another pro is that you get to put your own flair and touches and get to decide some of the design stuff. If you're remodeling bathrooms, remodeling kitchen, or even just doing paint and flooring, this kind of stuff. Another pro in buying a fixer-upper is something called sweat equity, meaning you buy the property for lower than the remodeled ones are going in the area, you remodel it yourself, and the idea is that the purchase price plus the cost of the remodel is less than the other remodeled properties are going for in the neighborhood, your total cost, which means you have a little bit of equity in the home because of your sweat that you put into it. Some of the cons of buying a fixer-upper: it's a headache, right? It's a headache to try to deal with contractors, having people in your space, or having to live away from the property while you do work on it. Two is it's risky because as you start doing work, as you start doing demolition, you might find more problems with the house than you intended, right? So, I was just gonna repair some drywall, but when I take the drywall on, the studs are all rotted behind the drywall. Now I'm having to redo framing. If I pull up the flooring and I realize there's issues with the subfloor, maybe structural, electrical, plumbing, like as you start peeling back the layers of the onion, you can open Pandora's box. And I think I just combined two analogies in one. But you get what I'm saying, is that there is risk where everything might look good on the surface, but once you start tearing things apart, you might find that you're having to put more money into it than you initially thought, because maybe there's things beyond the cosmetic work that you had intended. Another con to buying a fixer-upper is the cost. I mean, do you have the money? A lot of people, after buying a home, it's expensive. There's down payment, there's closing costs, and a lot of people, it takes a lot of capital up front simply to purchase the home. So then trying to come up with the capital to actually pay for these improvements and pay for these repairs can be a challenge as well. Those are some of the pros and cons of buying a fixer-upper. And each person is different. So for some people, the pros are going to be really great and the cons don't sound so bad, and some people, vice versa. So now let's look at buying something turnkey. The pros of buying something turnkey: it's ready to go. The reason why they call it turnkey is because the idea is after you buy the home, all you have to do is turn the key and move in. That's it. There's no other work to be done. Really, the convenience of having something that's ready to go, already designed, updated, fresh and clean and ready to go, is really appealing to a lot of people, especially if they don't want to deal with the headaches of, some of the things that we talked about in a fixer-upper. Another pro to buying something that's turnkey, in the near term and medium term and maybe even long term, there are going to be less maintenance costs related to the house. So if the person before you has already done a new roof, new electrical, new plumbing, new kitchen, new this, new that, then it's unlikely that you're gonna have to replace a roof in 2 years or 5 years if there's a brand new 20, 30, 40-year roof on there. So now let's talk about some of the cons of owning something turnkey. So you're definitely paying a premium. So we're seeing people have to pay substantially more. We're seeing substantially more competition for the properties that are already remodeled, turnkey, ready to go. Why that is could be for a variety of reasons. Some of the reasons why we think the turnkey properties command such a premium is the millennial generation, my generation, is the largest cohort of home buyers right now. So the millennial generation has kind of come in and said, we'd rather pay a premium for something that's ready to go rather than do it ourselves, where the generations prior seem to have more of a willingness to do some stuff themselves, or I should say less of a willingness to pay such a premium for what they might consider a simple construction project. Another potential con of buying a property that's turnkey and ready to go is because you didn't do the work yourself, because you didn't hire the contractor, because you weren't there for the duration of the work, you have no idea the quality of the work behind the surfaces. So for all we know, someone took down drywall, saw rotted studs, and just put drywall right back up because no one was gonna see it. So there's a certain level of unknown that comes when someone else comes in and do the work. Another con of buying something that's turnkey is the home might be beautiful, updated, renovated, everything's great, but it might not be your taste. You might not like the gray cabinets and the gray walls and the, the gray floors. You might want something with more earthy tones, a little more color. You might not like the backsplash. You might not like the way they rejig the floor plan, things of that nature. So which route should you go? Should you go turnkey? Should you go with a fixer-upper? It really just depends on your unique situation and what your comfort level is with these things, because really the conversation that we're having is personal finance. So there's the personal aspect of your lifestyle, your needs, your goals, and then there's the financial aspect. But in most cases, if we're just talking purely financial, it's gonna make more sense to buy a fixer-upper. And that brings us to our pro tip of the day. So to give you one example, we had a client that was shopping for townhouses in the Tierra Santa area of San Diego. And at that time, a year or so ago now, the townhouses that they liked were selling for about $830,000 remodeled. They were getting a ton of competition, multiple offers, and we were struggling to get an offer accepted at that $830,000 price range. A exact same model townhouse came on the market in the complex, and it was very dated. No upgrades in the last 20 years. It had been a rental property for a long time. It needed everything: kitchens, bathroom, windows, flooring, the whole 9 yards. But it was listed at, I think, $700,000 rather than $830,000. So the clients ended up buying the property for $710,000, and they ended up doing the remodel themselves. They spent about $30,000, not themselves, they hired, but they hired people and managed the project and brought people in. So they paid $710,000 for the property and just under $30,000 for a remodel for flooring, painting kitchen cabinets, some rough electrical, new countertops, 2 new bathrooms, windows and doors throughout, new flooring, new interior paint. The place looked brand new. It was on par with the properties that were selling at $830,000. So purchase price of $710,000, they put $30,000 into it, so they're into it for about $740,000, and the property is now on par with the properties that are selling for $830,000. So that client found themselves with $80,000, $90,000 in equity right out of the gate. It took 6 weeks. It was a headache. There were things that popped up, but from a purely financial perspective, typically buying a fixer-upper is the better way to go, and that's one example where it worked out for this client. So anyways, that's it for me today, guys. Again, if you like what we're doing, subscribe to the channel, drop this video a like if there was any information that was useful to you, and I'll see you again soon.